Okay, just breathe. Deep breaths. Okay, you can do it. If 3 to the 9x is equal to 64 and 5 to the root p is also equal to 64, calculate without the use of a calculator. Now, I know it says without, but at the end we can use it like a little bit, like a little something something. Well, I'll explain at the end. The value of, well, what we've got there. Feel free to pause the video and try and solve it on your own. Remember, this is a tricky level 4 question, but it is entirely doable. These level 4 questions, they build on the most basic of concepts, and you need to be able to manipulate the question, just like your ex manipulated you. Oh, lolo. So, 64, those are cube roots. How about we get a cube from there? So let's change that up. So it'll be 3 to the 3x still, raised to a further cube. Okay, we are just getting it to the power of 3 so that we can cube root 64 eventually. Okay, so 64 into its prime factors is going to be 4 to the 3. Now the cubes can cancel each other out, and simply put, we're left with 3 to the 3x, which is equal to 4. Now that's the first step. Just going to draw a little line here. So this is like part 1. And this is going to be our part 2. So we have again 5 to the root p, which is equal to 64. Now I know 64 here is a cube root, but it's also a square root. So we're just trying to like pick our poison. So first we went cube root. Now we're going square root. So if we square root both sides, we get 5 to the root p, which is equal to, well, the root of 64 is 8. So that's our part 1 done. Let's use the purple, divide the page, and now we can start plugging some values in after another manipulation. So we can just distribute the 3 into the bracket here. So this will be 3. 3 times x is equal to 3x. 3 times negative 1 is equal to negative 3 over root 5 root p. Okay. I'm just going to reverse engineer this a little bit, guys. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, like, hey, Goon, like, what's wrong with you? How am I supposed to know that? Like, how was I supposed to know what to do in step 1 and step 2? Now I'm going to explain it. The reason why we raised this to a 3 is because we wanted to match what we had here. We just wanted it to match. That's it. For funsies. And you see this root 5 over here? We needed this 5 to become root 5. So that we can make these easy substitutions. So that's why we rooted both sides. And it just so happened that the root of 64 gives us a nice, good-looking 8. And when we get a cube here, 64 is also a cube root. And it just so happens that the cube root of 64 is 4. That was supposed to click when you did the question. That's how you were supposed to know, okay? This is part 1, this is part 2. It's because of this expression that they had given you. How do we manipulate what they have given to us? So this 3 to the 9x is equal to 64. How do we manipulate it to get something raised to the 3? How do we manipulate this 5 to the root p to get a root 5? Well, we just root both sides. I think that one was pretty easy. And then very basic. We just distribute that power in again. So 3 times x, 3x. 3 times negative 1, negative 3. Now, it's important to note, everybody, that we can split these exponents, right? So I'm going to erase the numerator again, and I'm going to rewrite it as, well, 3 to the 3x times 3 to the negative 3. And 3 to the negative 3, that can also be written as 1 over 27. So this 3 to the 3x, it remains in the numerator. But this 3 to the negative 3, well, it's going to be times 1 over 27. Root 5 to the root p, that is equal to 8. We've solved that in our little part 2. Times 8. And you see this 3 to the 3x? That is equal to 4. We solved that in part 1. Times 1, so anything times 1 is just going to remain the same. It's going to be itself. And we have 4 over 27 times 8. Now we can use our calculator. Look, it's not like they're going to like ring a bell and it's going to go doo 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 when you use your calculator. It's not like that. Don't use your calculator at the start, but you can use it step by step at the end. So do it in steps. So that's going to be 4 over 27 times 8. Just plug it into your calculator, 216. And now you can plug in 4 over 216 into your calculator again to get it in simplified form, and your answer is 1 over 54. And that's it. I like to use this arrow at the end just to indicate my final answers. And that is it, guys. This super difficult, impossible question. I know when you guys see it, you start getting like heart palpitations. You don't know what to do. You start hyperventilating in the examination room. Yeah, I see the look on your faces. It's usually the last question in algebra that gets you, but not anymore. You can do it. Break down these difficult level 4 questions right to their core. It's just made up of a bunch of level 1, level 2, and some level 3 concepts. It's not that difficult. But yeah, I know, of course, I'm going to say something like that, but you can do it. Just breathe, keep your wits about you, and believe in yourself.